All right, so welcome everybody. Happy Wednesday. Um, my thought for you this week is brought to you by, since it's the week of my daughter's birthday, she turns 3 on Sunday. And so this week I decided in her honor is that all of my dharmas would be inspired by the movie Moana. Because it's her favorite movie. And it actually, of course, works really, really well because the traditions of those people that movie is based on, right, is actually very similar to the way that yoga looks at some of the interplay of like the cosmic energies. So the story is actually a metaphor for, it's a version of kind of a mismatch of different spiritual texts or different, stories of the gods that are built into that movie. And so the idea, of course, is that we have our main character who's actually a representative of the divine feminine, is that she's the energy of what would be considered one of the goddesses of that tradition, that is very associated with the ocean. So even her name is a name that is given to that goddess, right? Is Moana is one of those names, and that she's on this quest through the whole thing, and she's on a quest to find Maui, who's a demigod. He's the masculine, and she's on a quest to find him because the world is falling apart, as it always is in these stories, because of a poor decision, right, that was made a long time ago, and it was Maui's poor decision, and so she's trying to find him so that he can fix it. Right. And this is the story, right? Is that she's trying to find him so that he can fix the problem that he started, centuries ago or whatever. But she begins the story on a Hawaiian island, or one of the islands in the Pacific. And the ongoing story of her people is that nobody leaves. Nobody leaves the island because it's perfect. It's paradise. You have everything that you could ever want. So why would you ever want to leave? And from the moment that she's born, all Moana wants to do is leave. She wants to be on the ocean. She wants to be out. She wants to be where everything is, big and wide open. And she doesn't know why. She just knows that she's being called to the ocean. And so there's this struggle where she's being told that her responsibility is to stay on the island, right? She's the daughter of the chief. Her responsibility is to stay on the island and to keep the traditions and to play that role. And yet she's called to be somewhere else. And so this is one of our yogic principles, right? Or one of our yogic stories, is that wherever you are called to be, is you cannot ignore that call, right? And that if we suggest to ourselves that the world is small, then we will live small, right? But if we realize the bigness of what we are, is that our world will, and our own life will grow itself to that level of our own sense of our greatness, right? So there's this story, of course, the underlying question of this story is Moana is asked over and over again, do you know who you are, right? Which is a recurring theme in a lot of the yogic stories, right? Is that we're asked to contemplate that question, do you know who you are? Right? Do you know what you're being called to be? Do you know what you're being called to experience? Do you know what you're being called to have in this life? Do you know your own greatness is really the question, right? It's not, do you know who you are? What's your job and what are you good at? But it's a question, do you know what you're called to? Do you know your greatness? Because if you know your greatness, then your life will unfold, right? If you don't know, you question that greatness, as you will forever live in an experience that is small. So this is the thought, right? Is can you touch that innate greatness that you are, that maybe calls you from afar? And can you let yourself be available for your life to be bigger than you thought it could be? So whatever you've gotten used to as being your own little island, right? That you're like, it's good. Like, I know how everything works. I know how everything works in this space. And I don't ever leave. I don't ever leave the confines of my mind. Don't ever leave the confines of my life. Can you give yourself the opportunity to step beyond that and say there's more? Because that's the spiritual path, is that there's more than the confines of my mind. There's more than just I've figured out how to take care of my responsibilities, right? There's a whole ocean out there. The ocean of consciousness is how yoga refers to it. So comfortable seat if you're not there already, but this concept of answering the question, do you know who you are? Who am I? Not by trying to define who that self is, but do you know your greatness? Are you willing to touch something in you and define it as, or feel it as, something great, not as something small? For many of us, that's the first step, is I could do anything if I really believed that I was capable. So with the eyes closed, let yourself breathe the waves of the breath. So feeling the breath as it ebbs and flows, becomes easeful as you inhale. And as you exhale, not trying to hold the breath in, you let it out. And then not trying to stop the breath from rushing in, you let it become as big as it wants to become. Don't stop the inhale. And when the inhale is complete, don't stop the exhale, let it go. You find the breath moving through you. It's not something that you do, but it's something that happens through you. As the Buddhists say, this is how we learn to relax. That outside the confines of your mind, there is a world that is continuing to happen through you. You don't have to hold it back. You don't have to hold it in. The only thing you need is to have an answer to that question. Do I know who I am? Do I have a sense that I am as large as that infinite space? There's greatness in me. One more breath, again, letting the breath wash through you. As the exhale ebbs away, bring the hands together in front of the heart center, palm to palm. We'll open sound of Om, deep breath in. And let the eyes float open. Nice, you guys. You can release the hands, please. Then come forward to hands and knees. And we'll start to move. Cat and cow. So knees underneath the hips, hands underneath the shoulders. As you inhale, draw the spine long, lifting the chest, lifting the tail, stretching the belly. Then the exhale is the reverse, drawing the ribs in, the pelvic bones in and up, stretch through the back. Good, and keep going. Inhaling, lengthening and lifting. Exhaling, curling and rounding. Good. Again, almost like this sense that you are moving your spine in that wave-like fashion, right? So it's not just a bending and a flexing, but it's, can I really use my breath to extend in one direction and then exhale, extend in the other direction? Good. So your breath becomes part of the stretch, part of the movement, and not something that's happening just in between or in the background. Good. Nice. So we all have this experience, right, where we're born into the world and we're given from usually very early on cues or ideas about this is who you're supposed to be. Right? This is who I expect you to be. I expect you to behave this way. I expect you to think this way. Is that these are our traditions. These are our beliefs. This is what you do. This is what you don't do. And woven into all of that, are we able to keep a sense of there being a greatness in us that is not dependent on those things? Right? That your goodness is not dependent on those things. You can leave the island and you take your greatness with you. You can leave the confines of your mind and your greatness is waiting. Your goodness is waiting. Your bigness is waiting. Yogic word is maha, big, biggest version. Good. Come back to stillness, please. Tuck the toes, lift the hips, come into downward facing dog. Nice. And then up on your tippy toes, slide forward towards plank pose, so lifting through the middle ribs, take your armpits forward over your wrists. Good. And then rounding the back, looking in towards the belly button, pull up through your middle ribs. Again, take the hips nice and high, press back downward facing dog from your pelvis, lift, and then soften the heels towards the floor and feel the lift of the back of your throat. So your sternum lifts towards your thumbs. Good. And then one more time, lifting up onto the balls of the feet, pull the heels up, squeeze hands and feet towards each other, round into your middle ribs, pull forward to plank pose. Good. As you pull forward to plank, you lift the back of the throat. Again, feel the sternum lifting forward. Hug the arms and the feet towards each other, hands and feet towards each other. Good. And then all the way up and back, tuck your chin towards your chest, lift through your middle ribs, hips high, and then let the heels soften towards the floor. Good. Lifting through the back of the throat. Again, armpits open, sternum lifts. Nice, you guys. Good. And then take the right leg up and back behind you, down dog split. Good. Bend the knee, kick your heel in towards your butt, stack the right hip on top of the left, open the inner thigh, keep your left armpit lifted wide. Good. And then point that knee at the floor, please. Step the right foot between the hands, lunge. Good, inhale the arms to the sky, high lunge, please. Good, taking hold of your right wrist with your left hand. Good, draw that arm long, lean to your left, so lean away from that front thigh. Good, don't let the hips sway out though, so keep them right midline, center of the body or center of the mat. Good, come back up to center, switch the hold of the hands and then reach to your right. So right hand holds left wrist and lean to the right. Good, keeping the hips really level, front knee over the front ankle. Good, come back up to center, please. Release the hands overhead and then take the hands down to the floor. Good, step your left foot forward just a little bit. Take both legs to straight Parsvottanasana. Use blocks underneath the hands if you need. Good. Nice. One of the reasons why it's said in the story, of course, that nobody leaves the island is because the ocean is too rough, right? It's been thousands of years, they say, at least 1,000 years since anybody has left the island. And so their technology, right, their boats and everything are no longer designed for that, even though long ago, right, before this story began, as that was the way of those people, the Polynesian peoples, they traveled the ocean. And so they become scared of the bigness of things because, oh, you could get hurt out there. It's dangerous. You might not find your way home again. So there has to be this realization of what we build into ourselves as our willingness to experience those things, to involve ourselves in that bigness means that we have to face those things that are a little bit terrifying. Parts of ourselves are a little bit terrifying. Good. One more breath, lifting up onto your fingertips. Pull your arms up and into the shoulder socket. So really lifting up and long through your spine. Get your chest nice and wide. Good. Nice job. And then bend the right knee, please. Step the left foot forward, top of your mat. Bend both knees, planting the feet. Drop your hips nice and low, fingertips on the floor. Round your back, pull your belly away from your thighs. Good. Keep the weight of your hips moving back in space. Nice. And then keeping the roundness in your back, start to lift the arms up alongside your ears, come up into chair, but don't drop the belly towards your thighs. So as you come up, you have to stay rounded in your middle ribs. And then you lift up through your sternum, armpits wide. Good. And then hands to heart center, please. A prayer twist to the right, left elbow to the outside of the right knee. Good. And if the hooking the elbow is not happening yet, then you can use the left hand at the knee instead of the elbow. Good. Come back to center. Don't change the chair. Twist the other way. Right elbow to outside of left knee. Good. Don't let your hips sway out to the side so they stay level, in line with your heels. Nice, Nancy. Good, Joanne. Nice, Sanju. Good. Come back to center. Arms up alongside the ears, please. Good. Pull those ribs in. And then come all the way up to stand. Nice job. Take your right ankle in front of your left. So step your right ankle in front of your left. Good. Feet flat to the floor. And then arms up to the sky, please. Good. With your left hand, hold your right wrist. Lean to the left. Good. Keeping both feet as flat as you can. So again, you're hugging the shins towards each other. Careful that you don't lock the knees back. Good. And then come all the way back up. Good. Keep the ankles crossed. Bow forward. Take your hands down to the floor. You can use blocks if you need. So a cross-legged forward fold. Good. Again, keeping the knees just a little bit soft here. So you're actually bringing your shins slightly forward and then scooping the belly, pressing your hips up to the sky. So that little crossed ankle action is to stretch the outer hip and thigh. Nice. Good. And then unwind the legs, please. Come back to feet underneath the hips. Beautiful. Step back to downward facing dog. Good. Come up on your tippy toes, slide forward to plank pose, armpits over your wrist. Good, lift the sternum up. Yeah, and then take the feet together, big toes together. Come onto the baby toe edge of your right foot, right arm holds you, left arm to the sky, Vasisthasana. Good, you can always take the bottom knee to the floor here if you need, because it's still early in class. Good, but squeeze the legs, lift from your hips. So low belly draws in, lift from your hips, that's it. Good, and then bring it all the way back to plank pose. Go to the other side. Left hand holds you. Roll onto the baby toe edge of your left leg. Left foot, right arm up. Good, so again, there's a hug of the inner thighs. There's a lift of your hips. And at the same time, you are pulling your armpit forward towards the tips of your fingers. So don't get short, get long. Good. And then release that right hand back down to plank. Lower the knees to the floor. Slide your shoulders forward just a little bit further and then drop your chest between your thumbs. Keep your butt lifted. So knees, chest, and chin. Good. Toes stay on the floor. Good. Joanne, I would take your hands a little wider. It's going to make that easier. Good. Nice. Draw those arm bones up and back so you're squeezing behind the heart. Nice. And then pull forward onto your belly, please. Point the toes back behind you. Rise up, cobra. Good. Nice job. And then release back to downward facing dog. Tuck the toes, lift the hips. Awesome, you guys. And then the left leg comes up and back behind you, down dog split. Good. Bend the knee, take your heel in towards your butt, stack the left hip on top of the right. Good. Keep your right armpit lifted and wide. Yeah. Good. Back of the throat stays lifted as well. Nice, you guys. Squeeze that heel in towards your butt, flex the foot. Yep, be serious about it. Good. And then point the knee towards the floor, step the left foot between the hands, lunge. Good. Inhale the arms to the sky, high lunge. Good. Right hand holds your left wrist, please. Pull to your right. Good. Without letting the hips swivel out to the side. Good. Nice, you guys. Come back up to center, please. Switch the hands and lean to the other side. So pull towards the left side, now lengthening the right side body, again, without letting the hips go out. Good. Watch your front knee is still over your front ankle. So again, to make yourself more stable, you go deeper into the lunge. Don't come out of it. That's it. Come all the way back up. Good. Release the hands down to the floor, please. Step your right foot forward just a little bit. Take both legs to straight, Parsvottanasana. Good. Again, using blocks underneath the hands if you need. Nice. Be the legs nice and steady so there's an activity, a little squeeze to the feet, widening of the inner thighs. Good. And relaxing through the shoulders. The ocean is always a metaphor for our consciousness, which in all the yogic stories as well includes all of the elements of what we would call our negative aspects, our positive aspects, the things that we like, the things that we don't like, and all of the mystery of the things that are so far beyond our regular comprehension that there is no way to fully understand them through the mind. You can only experience them in that bigness. So this is a story of Moana of being sent out into the ocean to find an answer to a question that there's no answer to, right? The world is falling apart. How do you save everyone? How do you figure it out? Well, you go and you solve the original problem. And the problem is that she finds the guy and he doesn't want to help. Surprise. Because I don't want to deal with the consequences of my actions. This is karma, right? I had reasons why I did that. I don't want to deal with this. It's not my fault. One more deep breath. Come up on your fingertips, please. If that ever has sounded like you in your life. I had reasons. It's not my fault. Hug the arms in, chest wide. Good. Nice, Nancy. Good, Emily. And then bend that left knee, please. Step your right foot forward alongside the left, standing forward fold. Good. Again, bending the knees, dropping your hips low for chair, fingertips on the floor or your blocks. Then round into the back. Pull your belly away from your thighs. Good. And then start to take the arms up alongside your ears for chair. Good. Drawing the low ribs back and in, middle ribs back and in, and then come up on your tippy toes. So lift your heels. And as you lift your heels, drop your butt a little lower towards your heels. So you're getting a little bit more into that squatting chair pose. Good. And then press the heels down towards the floor. Nice, Nancy. Awesome. Hands to heart center, prayer twist, left elbow to the outside of the right knee. Good. And then come back to center, please. Twist the other way, right elbow to the outside of the left knee. Don't let your hips sway from side to side. Keep your knees in line with your ankles. So there's that hugging in. Good. Steady boat. Come back to center, please. Arms up alongside the ears. Nice. And then come all the way up to stand. Beautiful. Cross your left ankle in front of your right. Yep. And then arms to the sky. Right hand holds left wrist, I believe. Pull to your right. If that sounds like the same way that I did it before, then go the other way. Good. So of course, surprisingly, there were, boats that were on the island that had been there for a very long time, from the time when, Moana's people were still actively out on the ocean. And so those boats, she takes one of them on her adventure, and surprise, it's able to withstand the ocean, right? Where the boats that the fishermen usually use were not, because they weren't designed for that. So this is our practice, right? As we build this vessel of ourselves in a way where we are available for that bigness. Bring your arms back up to center. Good. Keep the ankle crossed. Take your hands down to the floor, forward fold. And to me, that's the crux of the whole story, is that nothing would have happened if Moana wasn't willing, right, to take the leap, to say, yeah, I'll go out on the ocean alone and try and solve this problem that didn't start with me. I don't even know what it's really about, but I'll try and find an answer. It's the story of being in the world, right? So when we're open to that bigness, the world becomes big for us. When we're open to our greatness, the world gives us an opportunity to be great. When we think that that's not for us, things will stay within the realm of what we find acceptable. We call this conditioning, right? Good. One more breath here. Nice. Then unwind the ankles, please. Take the feet underneath the hips. Good. Take your feet nice and wide. Turn your toes out 45 degrees. Bend the knees, come down, squat. Good. Nice wide squat. Good. And try and find big toe mounds and baby toe mounds of your feet. Good. And then right hand touches down to the floor inside the right foot. Take your left arm up to the sky. Open twist. Good. Throat back. Try and drop your butt to the floor. That's it. There you go, Nancy. And then release and switch. Left hand down to the floor inside the left foot. Right arm comes up. Again, drawing your throat back, open sternum. So that space at the front of the chest stays open, open, open. Nice, Mark. And then release that hand down to the floor, please. Good. Straighten the legs. Turn the toes forward. Forward fold. Good. Keep your feet as wide as your mat, though. Right hand comes to your outer left ankle or shin. Left arm comes to the sky. Good. Widen the inner thighs. So as you're reaching to your left, you're widening that right thigh to the right. Good. And then curl, round into your back rib cage just a little bit, and then open that left shoulder even more. And then breathe deep through the wideness of your sternum. Good. Breastbone, front of the chest. Nice. And then release and go to the other side, please. So left hand reaches for right ankle. Right arm comes up. Good. And again, pulling the left inner thigh wider to the left. Nice. A little curling into your rib cage. So again, you engage, hollow, and then stack the right rib cage, the right shoulder open a little bit more, and then breathe wide through your chest. This is part of the breathing part of asana, is that the wider you breathe, the bigger you breathe into the body cavity, is the more space that you have to breathe. The shallower you breathe habitually, the less space you have available easily to breathe. So you're in control of that, right? Make space, use space. Release that hand back down to the floor. Good. Heel toe your feet a little closer, please. Step or jump yourself back to plank. Good. Lifting through the inner thighs, roll onto the baby toe edge of your right foot, please. Right arm holds you, left arm to the sky. And you made a big deal one day when you did 6 Vasisthasana. Let's see if we can beat the record. Release back to plank pose. Go the other way. Left hand holds you, right arm to the sky. I'm just kidding. Maybe. We'll see. Good. Keep those hips lifted nice and high. Good. Pull up through the waist. Awesome. Back to plank pose. Inhale. Drop the knees to the floor, please. Slide your shoulders forward a little further towards your fingertips, then drop your chest between your thumbs. Chin up, knees, chest, and chin. So the front of your sternum should again be on the ground, and you're rolling those arm bones up and back. Keep your butt lifted. Yeah, so you're squeezing into those hip flexors. You're squeezing into the lower spine. Good, and then pull all the way forward onto your belly. Point the toes, rise up, cobra, lift head, neck, and chest. Good. And then come back downward facing dog. Nice, you guys. Right leg comes up and back behind you, down dog split. And bend the knee, take your heel in towards your butt, stack the right hip on top of the left, open. Nice. And then point the knee back down towards the floor. Please take that right knee forward in wide pigeon pose. So the knee goes towards the right wrist. Good. And you're not coming forward onto your elbows here. So if you need blocks underneath your hands to stay vertical, grab blocks. Good. So you're staying upright in your pigeon pose. Nice, but still square the pelvis. So draw that left hip spinning forward. Awesome. Good, you guys. And then left hand stays where it is, please. Right arm comes to the sky. So you're coming into a little bit of a twist. Yep. Open, open, open. Nice. Shoulders fall back and wide. Good. Keep your pelvis reaching for the floor as you open the chest. That's it. And then release that hand back down to the floor. Again, not coming forward. Tuck your back toes. Lift your back knee up. So you're still vertical, but you're lifting your back knee. Yep. And then you're letting your hips kind of come down towards the floor as much as they want to. Lift those hip bones, tilt them forward and up. Good. You got it. Press into that front shin. I know this is just to get more into that absolute stretch of the back thigh. Good. And you're like, no, thank you. Drop that back knee to the floor, please. Nice job. Good. Take the right leg up and back behind you to down dog split. So press into the hands, lift the hips, right leg up and back. Good. Bend the knee again, heel in towards your butt, but keep the knee pointing down this time. So hips level with the floor, knee pointing down. Good. Press up through that heel and then drag those arm bones up and in. Bring your chest forward slightly and then start to lift through the back of your heart, through the back of your head. Find the back bend, sternum forward and up, wide through the chest. Good. Like you're going to take your heel to your head. Good. You're going to take the back of your heart to your heel, even better. Nice. Pull your hips up and back. Yup. Good. Nice, you guys. And then relax the head, please. Stretch the legs straight back. Good. Down dog split. And then bring that right knee forward and wide pigeon pose again. Why? This time you're allowed to come forward. So spin that left hip forward, please. Walk yourself onto your elbows, onto your forearms, your blocks, whatever you'd like. Breathe deeply. And that sensation that when you don't stop that rhythmic movement of your breath, when you don't stop that rhythmic movement of your energy, is how big could it be? How big could it get if you didn't stop it? We have no idea. Sometimes it's presented as if you had no fear over anything, is what would you do? If you had no worry over anything, what would you do with your life? Do you know who you are, what you're called to? And so I love the conversation in this story where the demigod Maui, who, is responsible for the current problem, says, no, I don't want to do that. He's like, are you kidding? You're going to get me killed. It's scary. I don't want to do that. But yet it's the only way for him to also come back to who he is, is to confront that challenge, is to confront that past problem, past decision. And so just like in the yogic stories, there's never a time when the divine masculine and the divine feminine can ever truly be separated, is that these two characters were always going to be drawn to each other one way or another because they're two sides of one energy. So it's only in the presence of each other that they both figure out, right, fully, this is who I am. And it's not particularly because they're friends, it's because they push at each other, right? This is how they discover who they are. Come back to it. Gotta take one more breath where you are. Then walk yourself maybe back up onto your forearms, bend your left knee if you'd like. Even if you don't like, bend your left knee, kick your heel in towards your butt. The option is whether you reach back for the foot or not. So reach back, twisting quad stretch if you are willing. Right hand reaches for your left foot or ankle. Good. If not, you can absolutely stay on the forearms and just keep the knee bent and just work the stretch of the thigh without adding any extra intensity. Just totally fine. Good. One more breath. Open sternum. Nice, Anju. Good, Lorraine. It's listed first on the thing, so my mind just went to that. Joanne, sorry. And then release the foot down to the floor. I just called you Lorraine. Lift the back knee, come back to downward facing dog. Just gonna start yelling out random names and see whose head perks up. Slide forward to plank pose, upward push up. Good, lower down to your belly, please. Rise up, cobra, lifting head, neck, and chest. Good, and then come back downward facing dog. Nice. Left leg comes up and back, down dog split. Bend the knee, kick your heel in towards your butt, stack the left hip on top of the right, so open. Keep that right side rib cage lifted. Good. Nice, and then point that left knee towards the floor, please. Good, take the left knee forward and wide, pigeon pose. First variation. Good. So as you set that shin, again, active foot, right hip spins forward, blocks or whatever you need underneath the hands because you're staying upright. So already there's that, right? That you're squeezing the front knee or the front shin and the back knee towards each other. So you have this lift through your pelvis. And then tuck your back toes and lift your back knee up off the floor. Good. And still try and find this feeling where you are dropping that left butt cheek or your left pelvic bone down towards the floor. But you're also trying to find that upward lift of the front of the pelvic bone. So you're really working that feeling of stretching the front of the thigh. Good. And ribs draw in so that you're not letting all of your weight fall just onto your hands here as a way to escape your legs. Good. I know. I've been in this position before too. Nice, you guys. Good. Release that knee down to the floor, please. Right hand stays where it is. Take your left arm to the sky, twist. Good. Again, keeping your pelvis level. So again, you're not just leaning onto that right side, but you're actively opening through the side ribs. And this is sort of that metaphor for don't just shift your weight from one place to another, shift your restriction from one place to another, but actually opening to your greatness, opening to your potential, opening to possibility. Good. Release that hand down to the floor, opening to there being a bigger breath. That's what this practice is for. Lift that back knee, please. Come back down, dog split. Left leg comes up and back. Good. Knee points down to the floor, bend the knee, kick your heel in, but keep it pointing down. And then feel that thigh lifting just a little bit higher. Pull those arm bones up and in. Start to lift the back of your heart up into that scorpion variation, the back bend. Good. Squeezing the heel in. Good. Keep the wideness of your sternum. So it's not about craning the neck. It's about how wide can I get my chest? And can my arms plugging in help me with that? And then can I lift my hips back and up and still stretch that thigh? Good. Nice, Nancy. Good, Emily. Nice, Mark. Awesome. Release the head, please. Stretch the left leg all the way back down, dog split. Good. And then bring that left knee forward and wide for pigeon again. Good. Right hip spinning forward. This time, go ahead and walk yourself forward onto your forearms or onto your blocks, whatever you'd like. Good. So of course, the big challenge, if you don't know, what they have to do is that long ago, the mother goddess basically had her heart stolen. Maui stole her heart. And all of the power of, the balance between life and death, dark and light became totally out of whack. So in order to put it back, right, Moana has the heart. In order to put it back is they have to confront this demonic figure, right, a lava monster. And so they have their first confrontation and it doesn't go well, right? Maui goes to confront it and it doesn't go well. And he gets scared and he says, I don't want to do this. And he runs away. He says, I'm not doing it. And so Moana says, but you have to, this is your job. My job was to get you here. This is your job. And he says, well, I'm not doing it. And he leaves. Moana's left with this question of what do I do? Do I go home? Do I just give up? And ultimately what she decides is that who she is, right, is that she is the one who's in the position to right this wrong. And that she doesn't need Maui to do it. She says, I have the heart. I will do it because I'm willing. And so she sets out again on her own to go take care of the problem. And gratefully, again, that Maui has a change of heart. He comes back, he helps. But it's Moana, ultimately, who is the one who is able to restore that heart, to bring balance back to, the world. It's not from the guy who caused the problem in the first place. It's from her. How many problems in your life do you think were started by someone else, but you're the one who is in a position to stop the routine, to stop the pattern? You can end it because that's your greatness. One more deep breath. And then coming up onto the forearms or up onto the hands, bend your right knee, kick your heel in towards your butt. And again, the option is to reach back with the left hand for the foot or the ankle. You can totally just work the thigh stretch without the hand. Good, but if you want to, reach back for that twist. Chest open, sternum open. Good, and of course the big twist is that the lava monster is actually the mother goddess herself. She just got real ornery after having her, her heart stolen. One more breath. Good, and then release that foot, please. Release the hands, lift the back knee, come back downward facing dog. Good. Deep breath in, deeper breath out, and then drop the knees down to the floor, please. Grab a block if you'd like one for between the thighs, coming into Ustrasana, camel pose. So if you want to have that support, have it. If you need a blanket underneath your knees, make sure you have it. Good, and then knees are underneath the hips. So again, you're setting yourself up well. Good. And then again, a block between the thighs if you choose. Take the hands to the lower back, fingers pointing down. Good, so a little hug of the inner thighs. Even if you don't have a block, have this feeling of hugging in to the midline. So there's a feeling of activity in your thighs and your hips. And then low belly draws in and up, get taller. Good, and then start to hinge back, again, stretching the thighs. So your butt moves back, your ribs move back, everything moves back. Good, and then start to take your sternum up towards the ceiling, rotating the shoulder blades, sternum up, 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 pull up. Feel the stretch of the thighs get even longer. And then drop the hands, reaching for the heels if you choose, or keep the hands where they are. Good, but if the moment you drop your hands, you push your ribs forward and collapse in your lower back, no good, right? Sternum up, navel in, beautiful. And then from your sternum, come all the way up, release the pose. Nice job. Remove the block, please. Drop your hips back to your heels. Drop your forehead to the floor. Good. Reaching for your ankles or your feet. Good. Roll yourself up onto the crown of the head, rounding the back. Again, holding onto something or just keeping the hands on the ground. Round the back. Up on the top of the head. Good. And then release your hips back down to your heels. Do that one more time. Rising up onto the crown of the head, rounding through the shoulders, rounding through the back, pulling up through the belly. Good, and then release the hips back to the heels, please. Widen your knees, so take that into a child's pose where the knees go a little wider. The arms can come forward, either stretched in front of you or elbows bent, where you make a little pillow with your hands. Good, so with the elbows wide, that can sometimes feel like a nice release for the upper back and shoulders. Good. It's a beautiful scene. I think my favorite scene in the movie where Moana is making the decision where even though her whole concept of how this scenario was going to play out, how she was going to solve this problem has been disintegrated. And she's asked the question again, do you know who you are? And she decides that she's the one who's going to restore the heart. And she has this huge declaration in song, of course, because it's Disney, but where the culmination of the song is, it's just her yelling, I am Moana, nothing else. I know who I am. And she goes and does it, right? She's the one who sees that the lava monster is in fact the goddess herself. And she says, oh, these two things have to come together. We don't have to run from one in order to find the other, is that we have to bring them together. So what is your greatness calling you to is to heal these rifts in your life, in your world, right? These stories are always a metaphor for the world or the life that we're actually living. It's not a fantasy out there. This is your heart that gets stolen. This is you who has to bring it back. This is you who has the rifts in your life where there are those challenges where people have become lava monsters to you or whatever they've become. How do you bring them back to themselves? What does your greatness call you to do? Because your greatness is not the things that you do. Your greatness is the presence that you are. Walk yourself back up, please. downward facing dog. I just laugh and think that, if it was your own Disney song that you were singing and the culmination, the big line was, I am your own name, is what's the energy behind that? Walk your feet forward to your hands. What does that mean to you to call out your own name and say, this is my greatness, that I am in this embodiment, right? Not as some abstract soul, but as this person. This is my greatness. Bring your hands to your hips, come all the way up to stand. Now, I hope you'll all go watch the movie after, after class. Right leg is your standing leg, please. Bend your left knee, kick your heel in towards your butt. Reach back for the foot or the ankle, so setting up for dancer pose. Good. So left knee bends, reach with the left hand for the foot or the ankle. Good. Right arm up alongside your ear. Nice. So it's like you're doing like a standing camel pose, right? That thigh starts to move back, but you're pulling up through the low space of your belly, through your side ribs, navel in, and then start to let yourself hinge forward. As you draw that thigh back, your sternum reaches forward. Good. Nice. Armpits up and wide. Beautiful. Kick your foot back into your hand. Don't be afraid to come forward. Nice. And then bring it all the way back up. Again, drawing in towards your center, ribs in, belly in. You got it. You got it. You got it. Nice. And then release that foot down to the floor. Beautiful. Plant the feet, bend your knees, drop into chair for a moment so that you get used to standing on both feet again. This is part of our problem when we go from one standing balance to the other, is that we forget to come back to center. So bend your knees, pause for a moment. And then come all the way back up to stand. Good. And set up for the second side. So the left leg becomes the standing leg, right knee bends. Reach back for the foot or the ankle. Good. Left arm to the sky. Nice. And then again, as you start to bring that thigh back behind you, you imagine that this is just like camel. So you're not collapsing forward, but you're staying lifted. Good. So as you come forward, you're hinging from the waist. Rib cage drawing in and long, sternum up. Remember that feeling in camel when the sternum was lifted and pulling your spine longer. Do that. And then kick that foot back into your hand. Nice. Don't be afraid to come forward. If you don't come forward, there's nowhere for the back bend to go. Good. And then bring it all the way back in, folding through the ribs, pulling everything back in towards that center point. Awesome. And then release the right foot down to the floor. Nice. Arms up alongside the ears. Bend your knees. Drop back into chair. Good. Again, feeling both feet. Good. And then take your hands back behind you. Interlace your fingers at the low spine. Shrug the shoulders up. Hug the upper arms. Good. Ribs in. It's going to feel like there's some compression there, right? That you're actually challenging your back. Good. And then start to drop the head towards the floor, straighten the legs, butt to the sky, take the arms up and over any amount. Feet can go a little wider if necessary. Nice, you guys. Good, and then release the hands down to the floor, please. Good job. Heel toe your feet together. Come up onto your tippy toes, bend your knees, drop your hips down towards your heels, so that little squatting chair pose. Good. Trying to keep knees together, shins together. And then inhale the arms up alongside your ears. That's it. And then bring your hands together at your heart center. Prayer twist, left elbow to the outside of the right knee. Keeping those knees pointing straight ahead. Good. Keep your butt low. Good. And then come back to center, switch to the other side. Again, finding center. And then right elbow to left knee. You got it. Nice, Joanne. Good, Nancy. Nice, Sanju. You got it. Nice, Mark. Good, Emily. Good. Come back to center, please. Awesome. Release the hands to the floor, straighten the legs, and bow. Good job. Awesome, awesome, you guys. Good. And then step the right leg back behind you. Left leg comes up and back, down dog split. Again, bend the knee, kick your heel in towards your butt. Knee points straight down. Pull the arm bones up and in, lift the back of your chest, the back of your heart. Beautiful. To touch your greatness means that you have to confront feelings of limitation, feelings of smallness. I can't do this. I don't know how to do this. I don't want to do this. What does it mean to be great? That sounds like a lot of work. One more breath. It's not work to be who you are. Drop the head, please. Straighten the leg back to down dog split. And then step that left foot forward between the hands, lunge. Good. Drop the back knee. Use a blanket there if you'd like. Anjaneyasana. Good. Walking the hands up to the front thigh. And then taking the quad stretch again, bending that right knee, kicking your heel in towards your butt, reaching back one hand or both for the ankle. Good. So if you can reach back with both hands, go for that. If not, then choose one. It can either be the twisting quad stretch or same hand, same side foot. Let the pelvis move forward, weight into that front heel, and then chest up and open. Again, almost like you're doing camel. Lift your sternum. Good. Nice, nice, nice. Beautiful. And then slowly release the foot, please. Take the arms up. Good. So you're releasing the pose, not falling out of the pose. And then hands down to the floor. Good. Lift that back knee. Step your right foot forward just a little bit. Take both legs to straight Parsvottanasana. Blocks underneath the hands if you need. Probably feels pretty good about now. Good. And to be able to answer the question, do you know who you are? That what intuitively or automatically comes along with that declaration, I am, your own name. You know, the presence that you are, what is always going to be there as long as you are there. That is your greatness. It might be your patience, your compassion, your humor. It might also be your sassiness, your fieriness, your stubbornness. It's going to be all of that. Start to walk your hands towards the outer edge of that left foot. You can use a block if you need. So you're coming into a twisting Trikonasana, twisting triangle. So the right hand, if it can, comes to the outside edge of the left foot. If that's a little bit too deep of a twist, keep the hand on the inside of the foot, and you can really work the length of the spine. So it's a great place to be. And again, you can use blocks. Good. Pressing the shin and the forearm against each other if you have that cross. Start to turn your belly to the left. Pull back on your pelvis. So send those inner thighs way up and back. Push your butt back. And then start to come into your twist, taking the left arm either up to the sky or taking that left hand to your lower back, but turning the belly. Good. The idea is to try and stack the shoulders. If you're stacking the shoulders, the twist will happen. Good. Widen the inner thighs, butt pulls back. Good. And then release the twist, releasing the hands down to the floor. Really good, you guys. Step yourself back, downward facing dog. Nice. Good. Vinyasa if you choose, child's pose if you prefer. If you're doing the vinyasa, you're sliding forward to plank. If you want to be funny with yourself, throw in a vasisthasana. Good. Lowering down to your belly, rising up cobra. Downward facing dog. I guess I know how you guys feel about vasisthasana because nobody's doing it. No, thank you. That's okay. Left leg up and back behind you, down dog split. I am not offended. Bend the knee, kick your heel in towards your butt. Knee points down towards the floor. Hug those arm bones up and in. Lift the back of your chest. Again, like you're doing that same dancer pose or camel pose. Good. Chest wide and long thigh. Stretch, stretch, stretch. Keep your hips lifted. Everything. I want you to come up against those moments where you're like, okay, this is all I've got, and just breathe there. Find the space where you breathe really big into all you've got. And don't worry about what the limitation is. Just breathe into everything you've got. And if that's your practice all the time, you will breathe into more and more and more. Good. Release the head, please. Stretch that left leg all the way back to straight down dog split. Good. And then step the foot forward between the hands, lunge. Drop the right knee to the floor. Use a blanket underneath that knee if you'd like. Anjaneyasana. Good. So once you found yourself in the pose, walk your hands to the front thigh. And then bending the right knee, take your heel in towards your butt. Reach back one hand or both to find the foot or the ankle. Did I have you doing the same side twice? OMG. All right, release that foot, please, and switch. So come back to downward facing dog. So sorry. I did that thing again where I had you step back from a pose and then forgot that that's how I started it. So what do we need? Right leg up? Yep, right leg up. Sorry, you got to do the whole scorpion thing again. Bend the knee, kick your heel in towards your butt, lift the back of your throat. Sorry. Maui's a shapeshifter, if that interests you, right? So scorpion might be a thing that he turns into. I don't know. Lift the back of the throat, lift the back of the heart. One more breath, pull through the spine. Good, and then release the head. Please stretch the right leg all the way straight back and then step the right foot forward between the hands. Drop the left knee to the floor, Anjaneyasana, the second side. Hallelujah. Good, walk the hands to the front thigh, please, and then find your version of a quad stretch here where you are bending the back knee, take your left heel in if you can, and then reaching back one hand or both for the foot or the ankle. Good, so again, if both hands are not a possibility, don't worry about it. It's usually not possible for me. So pick the arm that makes the most sense, either the twisting quad stretch or straight back. Also just have the knee bent with no hands, right? Lots of options. Good, lift the chest, lift the sternum. Wide open. Good. Nice, Mark. Nice, Joanne. Good, Nancy. Oh, you got it, Anju. Good. Awesome, Emily. And then release the foot, please. Good job. Release the hands down to the floor. Lift the back knee. Step your left foot forward just a little bit. Take both legs to straight Parsvottanasana. I know this is your last standing sequence, so don't give up. I know. Breathing long through the legs. To be in that state of the unknown is this, what yoga tells us, is that to get beyond the confines of your mind means that you become aware of how big infinity actually is, the infinite actually is. And it's terrifying for a moment when you think you have to contain it. When you realize that you don't have to contain it, you just have to be you. And that through you, that infinity will continue to flow. The bigness of that will continue to flow through you, through the name that you have, through the life that you're living. So that's not what's stopping you from being big. It's only when you think that having those things, a name and a body and a mind, means that you have to be small, that we get caught. So if you're yelling your name into the unknown, into the consciousness, I am. What does that mean? What automatically comes with that? It's the answer to your question. Do you know who you are? Walk yourself towards the outer edge of that right foot, please. The left hand is crossing in front of the ankle if you can. And again, if that crosses a little bit too much, you can always use a block or keep the hand on the inside of the foot. That's still a lot of twist. All right, so make sure that your legs are steady and that you're pulling back on the pelvis. So your legs are staying nice and long, navel draws in. Begin to twist your belly open to the right. And then the right hand either comes to the lower back or stretches up to the sky. But you're working to stack the shoulders. So try to get that right rib cage lifted, left rib cage tucking under, and pull back on the tops of the thighs. Good. Nice, you guys. And then breathe as wide as you can into this, whatever it feels like. Breathe wide into your ribs, breathe wide into your legs, into your shoulders, into your throat, into your jaw, into your feet. Forgot you had feet. Good. And then release the twist, please. Both hands coming down to the floor. Nice job. Step back to downward facing dog. Good. Drop down to your knees, please, and child's pose. You did it. To touch the greatness that you are means that you go to the edges of your smallness, of what you think is all you can be, and you stare over the edge. And maybe it's terrifying and you say, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to be that. And you don't have to. You let it flow through you. We practice to answer that question. Do I know who I am? And not just the I am cosmically, but the I am, how that cosmic self lives as your very own name, your very own face. Not separate. You're not pretending to be one or the other. They are unified. They are the same. I know what I'm called to be. No matter where I am called to be that. Walk yourself back up, please. Nice job. And then opportunity to go upside down if you would like to. So your choice of an inversion. So if you have wall space and you want to do handstand, headstand, any of that, great idea. You can absolutely work, if you have wall space, kind of fun because you've been doing a lot of scorpion variations already. If you wanted to do an L-shaped handstand and practice, again, that back bend in handstand, you can. So you walk your feet up a wall into an L shape, and then you take one foot off of the wall, bend the knee, lift the back of the throat. So you do that same scorpion variation there if you want, or any other inversion that you'd like. Legs up the wall, shoulder stand. You can put a block underneath your seat in bridge or supported shoulder stand, legs up to the sky. Just find some variation where you are turning yourself upside down. Nice. So butt higher, Joanne. So walk your feet down a little bit and lift your butt. That's it. Yep. Butt up, butt up, butt up. Good. Yep. Nice, you guys. That's it. Beautiful, Joanne. Good, Mark. Nice, Anju. That we used to call that a tadpole position, what you're doing, Anju. Little frog position. Good, you guys. Staying steady. If you've ever had that moment where you're like, if I could just get to this thing, this person, this whatever, then I could solve problems of my life. And you get there and that person's like, nope, nope, not the answer. You're like, what? What always is ultimately the answer. And what I like about this movie so much is that it does bring you back to the answer being is that she didn't need anybody else. She needed help. But the answer that she was looking for was not determined by someone else. It was always within her to do. It's what she was called for. Can you be called to your greatness, to your bigness? And agree to look at it, to touch it, to breathe it. That's it, just be available. The whole practice of yoga is to be available. Just one or two more breaths if you are still in your inversion. And then starting to find your way out of your upside down. Good. As you find your way out, take a moment and then come to sit on your butt when you are prepared. Good. So feet out in front of you, knees bent, feet flat. Good. Separate the feet as wide as your mat. Drop your knees to the right, please. So feet as wide as your mat, drop the knees to the right, and then turn yourself, walk towards, in the direction of the right until you come to face the back of your mat. Come onto your forearms. Good. Yep. So it's just a sort of wide-legged twist here. Again, breathing into the side ribs, relaxing through the chest, right? Consistent theme. Chest wide open. The idea that the light and the dark exists as one being. And the key factor of which one is more present is the presence of the heart. If the heart is present, the mother goddess is benevolent and everything that is beautiful and life and renewal, all of that. When the heart is not present, it's the other side of that. It's everything that is destruction and death and terrifying. They're one and the same. What brings them back together is the heart. What brings you back together, right? Body, mind, and soul is your heart. Walk yourself back to center, please. So unwinding your twist. Good. Take the feet as wide as your mat. Let your knees drop to the left. And start to move yourself again, turning that same direction, facing the back of your mat, coming down to your forearms. At the end of the story, of course, the heroes, as Maui and Moana, are going home, right? And Moana invites him to come home with her. He says, my people could really use someone who knows what you know. And he says, no, they've got you. They don't need me. And their parting words to each other is, see you out there. You go do your thing and I'll go do mine. But we're forever tied together because of what we've experienced, right? The bigness. We've seen each other's greatness and we'll never forget. So can we be that for each other where we say, I see your greatness. That's what we mean by namaste. I see that the greatness lives in you, even if you don't see it. I'll see you out there. You do your thing and I'll do mine. We are tied together not because we have to be, because your greatness and my greatness are tied together. They're the same. They resonate the same. I'll show you you if you show me me. Bring yourself all the way back to center. So it's great to have a Disney movie where there's no romantic interest at all. It's just really two individuals learning to be themselves. Maybe that's also why I like the movie. Come all the way down onto your backs, please. Good. Draw your right knee in towards your chest. Squeeze it in. Nice. Left leg straight out on the floor. Good. Come into spinal twist, bringing the right knee across your body. Last twist. Right arm out wide. Good. Breathing again wide through the ribs, through the side body. And then bring yourself back to center, please. Squeezing that knee in. And then send the right leg down to the floor. Bring the left knee in. And bring that knee across the body, twist. Left arm out wide. Of course, my daughter gives everybody in the house roles from the movie. She's always Moana herself, but sometimes I'm Moana's mom, sometimes I'm Mama Tefiti, which is kind of cool. But no one ever has to be Maui. She never chooses Maui. Nobody ever has to be him. What does it mean to you, right, to play the role in your life that you are called to play? And to see that as your greatness, not your limitation, not, oh, I have to do this. But, oh, this is a part of myself that is expressing itself in a big way. Come back to center, squeeze that knee in towards your chest. Go ahead, bring the right knee in with it, so both knees in, squeeze. Bring your forehead up to meet your knees, hug, and as you hug, hollow, so draw your ribs and draw your belly and shoulders away from the ears. Good, so you're squeezing, but you're hollowing. Nice. And then slowly release, please, extending the legs out in front of you, arms alongside you, palms up. Relaxing into the state of Shavasana. Where you can let the breath move through you with no obstruction, no agenda. and contemplate. Do you know who you are? Very gently bring the awareness back to the breath, letting the body begin to stretch, move in whatever ways that serve it well. And as you're ready, draw your knees in towards your chest and roll to your right side. And take a moment there before you begin to push the floor away. Come back to an upright seated position. Bring the hands together in front of the heart center, palm to palm. So in Shavasana or meditation or in many of the Upanishads is where they talk about that there are many states of consciousness, right? That ocean that we are immersed in and we don't even realize, right? Because we think we're just in our own little boat, but we're really immersed in this huge ocean. And that where you go, right? The eye, where you go when you are on that edge of sleep or when you are asleep or when you're in meditation or Shavasana and you say, wow, that was great. I don't know where I went. You're touching that infinite self. right? You're touching that space that is beyond the confines of your mind as you know it. And that's what we're asked to do. Because the more you do that, you start to internalize this feeling that you are so much bigger than what you have learned yourself to be. And that's the practice of yoga, is to realize that the bigness, the greatness in you has been there all along. You're not learning it as though it's something new. You're learning to be it as this person who calls themselves by your name. That's it. The greatness is inborn. And so if you're willing to be available to that, is it will flow through your life. It is flowing through your life. The more available you are, the bigger your life becomes, the bigger you become. So that's our practice, is can we unite this idea of that infinite self that is capable of anything, everything, and that is what is living through this body, this mind with every breath. It's what lives in this heart with every beat. And then when you say your own name, you say it knowing that it's that infiniteness expressing itself through your name. You're not small trying to be big. You're big flowing through one channel that seems like it is a little smaller than you thought. But it's bigger. You're always bigger. You answer your own question, do I know who I am? Maybe practice that even in your own mind, yelling out your own name. And what does that mean? What is your presence in the world? And don't make it small, make it big. Close with the sound of Om, deep breath in. Sliding the thumbs up to the space between the eyebrows. Namaste. Thank you guys so much. Have a great rest of your night, great rest of your week until I see you again. Just a heads up, tomorrow my class that used to be 4:30, 6 o'clock now. So it's still online, or you can be in the studio. So if you're interested in that, 6 o'clock. See you tomorrow.